is Jessica Webster.
And this is Sam Pogue of the Fitness Break Room podcast. Sit back, take a well-deserved break, and learn about the journey that helps shape the most successful fitness professionals in the industry today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fitness Break Room podcast. I'm your host, Sam Pogue. I'm sitting in New York City with three of the most amazing, lovely ladies I've ever been in contact with. Amanda Adele, Devin Moretti, and Kat Nardizzi. We're hanging out here in the coolest basement I think I've ever been. We got Queen Bey sitting here in the corner, Jay-Z and a big-ass banana behind Kat.
It's pretty dope.
Also Andy Warhol. And it's just this really cool environment to be able to share some amazing stories that I think that you guys are going to really connect with and really have an opportunity to see what opportunities there are in fitness, where you can take your career, and maybe going through some personal journeys that some of you are in the middle of that these ladies can help guide you through because they've done phenomenal jobs for themselves kind of going through this process. So without further ado, who would like to start? Who's not nervous?
I mean, I can start, I guess.
Okay. Miss Ohio.
Yes, I just moved to New York after living in Ohio for the past 23 years.
Ooh.
So it's been a great transition.
Yeah.
And I love it here.
Running water, electricity, indoor plumbing. What other big changes have you experienced between Ohio and New York? People?
I would say the people. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is people here are just very open-minded, very fast-paced. And, you know, in Ohio, what I do is like completely weird and like not normal versus here. Like I can find so many people who are entrepreneurs and doing something in my same realm.
Yeah.
So it's great.
That's
and I love
awesome.
it. And then I just like being around the energy
Yeah.
and being fast-paced and having something to do all the time.
There you go. There's nothing short of things to do in New York City. Am I right?
Mhm.
Definitely.
How did you end up here? Why did you choose to move to New York City of all the places in the world?
So, I have always had the desire to move. It was just like me actually doing it. And I honestly couldn't figure out where I wanted to move. It was like a toss up between like going to California or just somewhere else because I'm like in love with California. I actually came to New York City for the first time in October and I fell in love with New York and I was like, okay, yeah, I can definitely move here. And then I moved in with John and Kat. And so, yeah, it's just been great. So that, I mean, part of it was like the relationship, but also I've always wanted to move. And then I also fell in love with New York. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do it.
That's awesome.
It's about time.
Yeah. And you were in a spot in your career that allowed you to do it because you have mostly an online business. Or
All
100%,
online now.
100% online.
Yeah.
But you know,
Officially a year.
ooh,
Within
look at
like
you,
the
girl.
next month.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Has that been a fun journey?
Yes. I mean, I've been officially self-employed for a year, but I've been a year and a half, 2 years of being online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back a little bit. Take us through your early years and maybe the journey that helped shape the lens of perspective that put you into the fitness journey and why you want to help so many, not just ladies, a lot of your people are ladies, but you know,
I work with only women.
only women. Okay.
Mhm.
So take us through that journey and why that's so important to you and what you're trying to help people accomplish.
Okay. So in high school, I would say growing up, I was always in and out of sports because my mom put me in everything. And I wasn't really passionate about anything except volleyball. But then I transitioned to a new school and I was really shy and nervous. And I was just like, I can't do this. I don't want to be involved in volleyball because I was just like really nervous. None of the girls were talking to me during the first tryout. And I was just like, I'm not going to play volleyball anymore. So then I decided to I just stopped working out altogether. And then it finally started to become this habit. But the reason it became a habit was because I became more aware of my body. And I became obsessed with like Victoria's Secret fashion shows and like all like models and all like celebrities. And so I started to like develop like body dysmorphia and an eating disorder. And that's part of the reason I started to get into fitness and like eating healthy and like being more aware of like what I'm consuming. And that just transitioned into like me having a passion. I like had this passion for fitness, but it was all for the wrong reasons. And I struggled with an eating disorder and body dysmorphia until about like 3-ish years ago. And officially over my eating disorder 2 years ago.
Yay.
Yay.
Congrats, girl.
Thank you. But so I think, what happened for me was getting out of it and just like trying to create a healthier relationship with food and with my body. Fitness, lifting helped me transition into that.
Okay. What was the motivation that wanted you to get into, like, to start overcoming that challenge in the first place before we get too deep into your story?
It was like really affecting the way I showed up. Just going to the pool, I was just like too consumed with how I looked. I would like miss out on social opportunities to go out with my friends just because I didn't want to ruin my diet. It was affecting the way I would show up in the bedroom because I just wasn't confident in myself. And so I was like, this has to end. And it was also taking over my life. I would like get anxiety if I missed a workout. So I was like, this has to change. I need to like create a healthier relationship with working out. And I want to do this because it does make me feel good, but it also doesn't have to be the center of my life.
Yeah.
And so I started I stopped dieting and just like ate what made me feel good, and then also gave myself permission to eat something that wasn't nutrient dense just so that I wouldn't feel restricted and then end up binging and like just practicing having a healthier relationship with food. And then with workouts, I started transitioning more into just doing what I really love and what makes me feel empowered, which is lifting weights and lifting heavy weights and not doing as much cardio.
Preach, girl.
Yeah.
Preach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preach.
So that was really empowering. And that's like kind of helped me shift into where I am today and how I show up for my clients and teaching them how to just feel empowered with their choices around food and fitness, and then not letting it be the center of their life and just feeling more empowered in their skin in general.
Yeah. How hard was it to get into like lifting heavy weights as a female that already had some struggles with her image and what you were putting out there? Was that difficult, or did that naturally, you're like, oh my God, this feeds my soul?
Yeah.
And I want to smash.
I never, I know that most girls have the narrative that lifting weights is going to make you bulky and I never experienced that because my mom always grew up lifting weights.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
that was
That's
great.
amazing.
It was just the fact that I felt like I had to do cardio all the time. So me figuring out what triggered me with my eating disorder and what made me feel not good and what made me feel not empowered, it was just like, I just need to take these things away from my life and I can always add them back in if I want to later down the line. But I just had to eliminate everything that triggered me or made me feel like how I used to feel.
Yeah.
And cardio was one of those things.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you had early exposure into fitness at a young age, not from sport, but because your mom was actively going.
My mom was very active, and so that definitely rubbed off on me. But then there was the same end of the spectrum. Like, my mom was very active in the way, and she definitely taught me that this is like something that you should do to take care of yourself. Whereas then I had my stepmom who didn't work out at all, and when she did, it was because she wanted to change her body. And so that rubbed off on me a lot because I was with my stepmom a lot. And she would always shame herself and like she would binge on food, and so that again rubbed off on me and made me feel like, okay, I need to do this to look a certain way. And she was like obsessed with celebrities and like getting the magazines and just like, try this diet, do
like
this.
Star magazine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stars.
So
Just
that
like
definitely, I had both ends of the spectrum of like, I should do this to feel good about myself, but then like also change my body. It was just like this not really well balanced.
Okay. How long did you kind of go on your own personal journey of like lifting and trying to improve your own well-being and health before you started deciding that you want to do this professionally?
I went to school for college for a semester, and I knew I wanted to be like somewhere in the health aspect because I am very passionate about health, and I always have been. It just wasn't healthy.
Right.
And my first semester in school, I just had no idea what I wanted to do. And I just felt so pressured. And like I was paying for school and I was like, I don't want all this money to go to waste. And I sat next to this kid in class, and I already had it ingrained that I kind of wanted to be a personal trainer, but I didn't know like what I needed to do.
Right.
And so I sat next to this kid in class who I had a crush on. And
Aw.
I would talk to him all the time. And he told me how he was a personal trainer and he was making solid income. And the only reason he was going to school was to get more knowledge in business because he wanted to open up a gym.
Okay.
And he's like, honestly, like if you don't know exactly what you want to do, then and you say you're kind of just like iffy about going to school, you're just like up in the air about it, you know, finish off the semester, go get your certification, and then go from there. So that's exactly what I did. I finished my first semester of college, and then I'm like, I'm going to take a break, get my certification, and then I kind of went from there. And I just tried to learn or get in contact with all the personal trainers that I knew and like build my network and like shadow people and like learn
wow.
from them because I'm the type of person that needs to learn from somebody and see it versus reading a textbook.
Yeah,
And I think it's experience is ultimately what makes you a great trainer.
absolutely.
100%.
So I started shadowing trainers and then I worked at a gym in Columbus. I interned there actually for a couple months. And then I decided to start at LA Fitness.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's where I was for almost a year.
Okay.
And then I started working I left there and then I started working under somebody and I like trained all his clients. And then
There you
it's
go.
all transitioned online.
Mhm.
I think, and just hearing the hesitation in your voice, like I was at LA Fitness, I think it's so important to honor when we go through those journeys because
Mhm.
that lens gives you such a different perspective on fitness. We talked about it earlier before we
Yeah.
came down to record. Like, yes, LA Fitness isn't like the movie stars and athletes, but I tell you what, there's way more people that need change and need help in that scenario
Yeah.
and in that environment than the people who are going to the Mark Fisher Fitnesses.
Mhm.
Not that the people that don't need it at Mark Fisher, but they're in a very specific lens for there for the culture. But
Mhm.
like the people at LA Fitness may not have any direction. Like they
Right.
don't have a culture. They're still in there trying to do it on their own.
Right.
And so that culture they only get from if they do hire a trainer. And that comes from learning how for you to go out and meet people, create a non barrier or a non high barrier opportunity for them to have access to you and ask a
Mhm.
question,
Mhm.
which may lead to a client. Like I think that more coaches would do better from starting out at a facility like that,
Oh, absolutely.
right? A 24, a New York,
Mhm.
LA, whatever. I don't give a shit where it is because yeah, that may not be the
It's
end goal.
experience.
It's experience, right? And a different population. So honor that. I think that is super important. That is such a instrumental piece of your
Mhm.
journey because
Mhm.
you could have very well not gone there,
Yeah.
right? And then you may not be sitting here
Yeah.
today. Like maybe
Yeah.
something there is what triggered experiences to make you move
Well,
to
and
New
how
York.
does that experience help you help your clients now?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, and part of the reason I just didn't like LA Fitness is because the pay.
They pay
But
terrible.
yeah, they do.
Well,
But
yeah.
I loved my clients there and it was again a great experience and it got me to figure out like, oh wow, a lot of people can't move the way that I think they can.
Yes.
And I think it was essential for me to go through that, especially transitioning online because I have an idea of how people can move and what they can do.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
So that was really helpful in that way.
I think a lot of trainers too, because being an online trainer is so accessible
Mhm.
that they've never had that experience. It doesn't mean you need to do it forever, but there's a big difference between trying to sell someone and talk to them in person versus only doing it online.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right. And when you're with them day to day and they tell you about like, oh my gosh, my job's eating me alive and you know, my wife is mad at me, my husband's mad at me, my
Mhm.
girlfriend, whatever it is. And it's a little bit easier to be empathetic when it's in front of you
Absolutely.
versus when it's an email that's like, yeah, I didn't do my homework this weekend.
Right.
Yeah, I got shit faced.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't. You know what I mean? And you're like, I did those things too,
Yeah.
but like I'm in a very different spot in my journey.
Right.
Right. And so the in person thing, like, oh yeah, I forget that. Like,
Yeah.
because I travel a lot for work, I'm now like completely understand all my clients that traveled a bunch for work when
Yeah.
I was training them.
When
I
I
was
was coming to New York all the time, I'm like, well, now I know why people like just don't have the desire to work out when they're traveling,
like, totally.
or why it's even harder nutrition wise.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So how did you transition your business to online? Because I think that's a route that a lot of people are kind of intimidated to do or just
Mhm.
don't know how to do.
Yeah. So I've always wanted to do stuff online because I wanted to have the freedom to go wherever I want and like be able to travel and work wherever I wanted. I just wasn't exactly sure how to do it, so I just like started sharing content. When I started working with a lot of people for free just to like get testimonials and like
Yeah.
figure out how I'm going to do this coaching thing and how I'm going to like organize everything. And so I would have anywhere from 3 to 5 clients at a time, and then my business started to get more notice, and I started working with a woman who is fucking incredible. Her name's Nancy, and she just blew up. Her Instagram blew up as I was working with her, and she would talk about me all the time, and so then my business blew up because of that, and it was great. And then I also had a better grasp of how I'm going to do this coaching and how I'm going to serve my clients and what makes me different, and yeah, that's kind of how it transitioned. Nancy helped a lot.
How did you meet Nancy?
So when I was trying to grow my business, I would reach out to people and just try to figure out how I could help them for free. And she was one of the first people that I reached out to. And she just started a fitness Instagram. And I think what you're doing is amazing. If you ever need help, I'd be happy to help you. I'm a personal trainer, blah, blah, blah. And so we knew each other for a year and we stayed in contact. And then she reached out to me and she started working with me. And then a month later, she wanted to just try to do everything on her own. She also wasn't financially able to continue, and so I was like, you know what? I know you want to work with me still, so I'm just working with you for free. And I just started helping her for free, and continued working with her for free because she was helping my business. So I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's just how it transitioned. I would say Nancy helps a lot.
I think that's so great that you did that. You had the intuition at a young age to do that for free and without asking hey, you got to make sure you got to shout me out 4 times and you got to do this and this and this, but you're like, hey, you're helping me. I just want to keep helping you. Knowing that in the long run, serving that relationship came back to help you
Totally.
in not only experience, but obviously a following and shaping who you are as a person, the way you articulate your thoughts and the person that you are today.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing.
But I would say ultimately, just constantly putting out content for free and helping people for free and then sharing my story is what helped everything get to where it is today.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just relate to my story because I talk a lot about eating disorders, body dysmorphia, and how you don't have to spend this many hours in the gym. And people are like, oh, wow, really? You can do fitness that way?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that has been helpful as well.
What's been some of the you're really good about posting feedback and reviews and testimonials that people have given you, and especially because your online business is so dynamic. What's been some of the big aha moments that you've had with some of the ladies and women that you work with? You talk about sharing your story. What's some of the positive things that you've had from some of these women coming through?
From sharing my story?
Yeah. I mean, maybe some of the transformations or the overcoming of obstacles that some of your women have had. Anybody with major breakthroughs?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing with most of my clients is I have an entire self-love course that they go through when they go through my coaching. And one of the most common things that I get is, I'm losing weight and everything, but the biggest thing that I notice is I feel more confident and I'm not even at my goal weight yet. And so it just helps, me realize that what I'm doing is great, and then it also makes them realize that body confidence doesn't come from looking a certain way.
Yeah.
And so that's been a big aha moment, not only on my journey, but on their journey, and me teaching them that that's true.
Absolutely. What is this self-love course that you have?
So my fitness coaching is geared around teaching women how to feel more empowered in their bodies, and every week there's a topic going over something like jealousy or judgment or just showing up more authentically or feeling, I talk about insecurities. And so I have a topic about it, and then we go through it, and there's an assignment for them to do, and then I help them work through that assignment.
Wow.
Yeah. So one of the very first week is talking about how we typically talk more negatively towards ourselves. Even some of us don't even realize that we're doing that. And so I come up with ways that you can just be aware of that, and then how you can turn it around or why you're feeling that way, and positive affirmations that you could use to help bring yourself out of that.
Yeah.
So it's just bringing more awareness about how you speak to yourself.
And did you develop this all from just your own self-experience, or how did you find this enlightenment? Like in the nicest way possible, like just because you're how old?
Yeah.
23.
That's
You're
not-
so self-aware.
Yes.
So
like
aware.
amazing.
as a 23-year-old,
young.
and even still now as a 31-year-old, like I was a douche, and I'm like just sitting here like you have like
100%.
self-love course at 23. Like I
Yeah.
loved myself at 23, but not in the same way.
I mean, I would say, there's a lot of things that went into play. I would say the biggest thing that has helped me is reading books. One of my favorite books is The Gifts of Imperfection by
Okay.
Brene Brown. That was really helpful. And when I was overcoming my eating disorder, I had to figure out and being more confident in my body, I had to figure out what I need to do and what resources I need to find to experience that. And so I just kind of like immersed myself in like following more people who talk about body positivity and who talk about like overcoming your insecurities and like how to cultivate more confidence. So it was just kind of just like reading and like finding resources.
Wow.
And then a lot of it is just bringing awareness to what I go through and like figuring out how to unpack it.
That's awesome. And when did you start start searching this information out? Because I mean, once again, being 23, that means you were going through this at 17, 18,
Yeah.
right? Like once again, like a trivial time when we're in our adolescence that is not a more self-reflective, like how can I improve myself,
No.
Mhm.
but it's like how can I get more stimulus?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
type.
think, yeah, for me too, is when I was younger or when I was in high school, my mom was going through a really tough time and I just kind of had to play the role of a mother. And that definitely
Yeah.
came out
Mm.
in where I am today.
That makes sense.
It just
Mhm.
made me grow up faster and become more aware of things.
That's awesome. Do you find it hard being 23, working with probably a lot of women who are maybe older? Or do you
No.
find that they appreciate that you're so self-aware at such a young age?
Honestly, people are surprised when I tell them that. Like most people think that I look young,
Yeah.
but they're surprised that I'm 23.
Mm.
And some of my clients didn't even know I was 23, so they just don't associate my
Yeah.
age with anything.
Yeah.
And I typically my clientele is within my age range, but I've had a few clients who are older than me. But I do my best to like understand them because I know I don't know what it's like to be a mother yet, but I can relate in some aspects and I can do my best to help you.
Absolutely. It's kind of why I started the podcast, and this whole adventure is to help coaches go through their journeys and understand that there's so much more to this industry than like having a big Instagram following, or
Yeah.
that I train X amount of clients a week, or I train this athlete, and I push them to really value the journey, right?
Mhm.
And the experiences that you go through, because that changes the lens of perspective that you come from. And I want them to grind, and I want them to put their heads down and work. Not because you can't have success early on, but because it's usually takes those years to like go through that aha moment where you're like,
Yes.
oh shit, it's so much bigger than this. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You just happen to be on top of the game and doing it at 23.
Mm.
When I had just finally at 23, I'd just gotten fired, I think, from my wakeboarding job and came back to become a trainer.
Mhm.
Like I was just starting out,
Yeah.
right? And here you like have a full online business that you're
Yeah.
running, and like,
Well, I also had that pressure because I didn't go to school. I'm like, I need to prove myself that I
Yeah.
can make something out of myself without a college education. And
Okay.
so that definitely like lit fire under my ass
Yeah.
to make things work.
I think that's really great. And there's, a lot of listeners who are probably in a very similar boat that have either going through a similar journey that you went through earlier in your life,
Mhm.
right? And that early need for self-improvement comes from obviously a piece of your life that you're unhappy about, right?
Mhm.
And then you figured that out very early on, 17, 18 years old, and then, go to college. And college I think is great, and I loved college and I loved going, but at the same time I think it's great for the experience,
Yeah.
right? And then you just got your experience from something else,
Mhm.
right? So it doesn't devalue that you
Yeah.
didn't go, but I think it's great that it did light that fire under your ass.
It did,
And that's what
for
you
sure.
needed to get to where you are
Mhm.
today, because flash forward 4 years, look at you sitting in New York City
Right?
on a
She's
fucking
killing it.
sweet ass couch.
In this really sick
23, I
couch.
was living out of a bag.
Yeah.
Couch hopping.
Yeah. So
23, I was living at home with my mom trying to
She's
save money to
killing it.
move here.
Tell her all
right?
the time.
So all you 23-year-olds, step your game up and then find Devin.
Yeah.
Not me or us. 'Cause fuck.
Yeah.
That wasn't any of us. So give us the overall, what's the mission of your program, and what you're trying to do to help women and the people that can find you and hopefully listen and resonate with this.
I would just like to continue to spread awareness about the fact that fitness is meant to enhance your life and it doesn't have to take away from your life, and that body confidence is not a size or a look, it's from within, and like learning how to become more aware of yourself and unpack like insecurities or narratives, whatever's holding you back from showing up like powerfully in your skin.
That's awesome.
So that's what I want to continue to do and
Okay.
spread.
Okay. If you had a piece of advice for a brand new trainer getting up and going, what's a piece of advice that they can take home from you today that's going to allow them to be successful tomorrow?
I would say, can I give two?
Sure.
So the first one would be definitely to not have a scarcity mindset in the industry and be open to working with people and network marketing with people and like learning from them, because I think sometimes we're competing with everybody, but that's not what it's about. It's a community and we help each other grow. And the second thing is to help people for free and to know that that's going to build the trust for them to want to work with you.
Yeah. Okay. Where can people find you?
You can find me at devindaymoretti.com or Devin Day Moretti on Instagram.
Okay.
Very creative.
Perfect. And obviously, anybody that wants to inquire, they can learn more about your self-love program.
And I do
or
have
training
a
online.
free body confidence course on my website. And there's a link on my Instagram as well.
Killing it. 23 years old, already fucking killing the game.
Killing
Thank you.
No, that
Crushing
was
it.
so great. And I hope you guys really enjoyed her story and being able to connect. And hopefully, hearing that gives you the confidence to be able to go out and embark on your own journey. And it doesn't need to be that you come from being a personal trainer or going to the online model. You could actually find other unique ways to find yourself in the fitness industry and kind of transitioning into what you can do to support that, but without training clients every day. So now I'm going to switch
Segue.
Segue into Kat.
into her partner in crime, homie, friend, what else?
Girlfriend.
Girlfriend, lover.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the above.
Yeah, so I'm not a personal trainer. I
Yeah.
do not have my own fitness brand, but I work for some amazing fitness brands and people and trainers. And it's funny. I mean, are you trying to? Where did I start? What are we? We just start with like, what I do.
Well, you're talking about being in California and going through maybe your personal journey back there.
Yeah. So
take
like
us
how
all-
I got into fitness. Okay.
Yeah.
So I grew up playing sports and a couple different sports primarily because my family moved a lot growing up. So the first sport I played was soccer, and then we moved, and I still played soccer, but then I also started swimming, and then we moved, and then I played soccer a little bit, and then I started dancing, and then we moved, then I didn't do any of those things anymore. And then I ran cross country for like 1 year, and then I got into theater, and everything kind of shifted to theater after that. But I've always been super active. I've always liked being active, and it wasn't until like high school when I started having my own body image issues and body dysmorphia. And I started to be interested in fitness and going to the gym and going to LA Fitness as my own person being interested in trying to figure out how to lose weight or whatever. And primarily back then it was elliptical machines and cardio, and that's all I knew.
The weight room's intimidating.
Well, I also
hell yeah.
back then, it wasn't. I don't know. That wasn't like it
But it
wasn't.
was also,
People weren't
like,
selling lifting weights to especially women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fat loss.
It was fat loss.
Along with the cardio.
Yes,
machine.
cardio, restrict your calories, all of that. And I started counting calories. Like, this is so sad. When I was like 12.
Wow.
Oh, that's such a young age.
Yeah.
Shit.
I remember being like babysitting at like as a 12-year-old, I was babysitting kids younger than me and being at their house and like looking in their pantry and being like calculating what I could eat based on like how many calories I had given myself left for the day. And for a long time, I actually did really well. I kind of did a sort of flexible dieting thing where it was like I just counted calories and I kind of ate whatever the fuck I wanted. As
Not
long-
realizing that.
but I would count my calories.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't obsessed with like eating certain foods or whatever. But all that is to say, I've been minded about fitness and weight loss for a long time.
Wow, 12 years old.
Yeah,
That
which is like crazy to me.
ugh.
Back then, it wasn't obsessive. It was just kind of a thing I did.
Yeah, awareness.
Yeah, and then when I got into high school and became more aware of myself and more aware of like how awkward I was, I started to become more obsessive, and it kind of sucked. And it was like senior year, I kind of stopped doing any kind of fitness type things, and I I like to say I put on my freshman 15 when I was actually a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to college, I maintained the freshman 15. I didn't gain any extra weight, but I didn't, and it wasn't until like the end of freshman year that I started getting back into fitness again, interested in it rather. Anyway, all that is to say, at the end of like college is when, well, I guess I should mention I had an eating disorder, and that primarily started in high school, beginning of freshman year of college. And that kind of fed into me getting more interested in fitness, more obsessed with fitness, because it was obviously I didn't want to gain weight because I struggled with binge eating. And it wasn't until like senior year of college that I got into the beach body
Oh my
workouts.
God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Someone inquired about that today to me. They're
Really?
like, would you recommend this?
I mean,
Oh boy.
hey,
If it gets you moving.
it gets you moving.
Exactly.
I was like, it's not the worst thing
It's
in the
not.
world.
It's really not. And Insanity was my first foray, and then it went off from there. And eventually got interested in weightlifting, or lifting weights rather, from another Beachbody program.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. That's how I got into fitness. But it wasn't until I moved to New York that I like got into like lifting weights in a gym, because I worked at the front desk of Equinox. And at that time, I wanted to be a trainer. I came into my interview being like, I eventually want to actually be a trainer.
Yeah.
And this is definitely something I'm interested in. And at the time, it was something like fitness had been a huge like outlet for me. And even though I had been, diving into it in a very obsessive manner, it still helped me a lot with managing anxiety and managing, feeling like I had some kind of semblance of control over myself in a seemingly uncontrollable eating disorder. And yeah, so at that time I wanted to be a trainer, and I made friends with all the trainers, and I made friends particularly with this one amazing guy named Mel, and he was a strongman guy, and he just like wanted to train me for free because he thought I was strong for my size, and that was like my first kind of feeling of like lifting really heavy and loving it. I remember like he took me to the strongman gym. He was like, "You're gonna flip this 200-pound tire," and I was like, "What?" And I like did, and it was so amazing.
Yeah.
And we like did deadlifting, and he just would push me, and it was super encouraging, and that's kind of how I got into lifting heavy, and I felt really strong. I like am genetically pretty gifted when it comes to like
very strong.
strength, building strength.
Mm.
And from there it kind of transitioned into powerlifting. I got into powerlifting, and ultimately powerlifting is the thing that really I feel like saved me from my eating disorder.
Wow.
Yeah, because our society is telling us as women to look a certain way, to be smaller, to be thinner, to be whatever it is, to be leaner, and you're obsessed with how you look, and you're not focused on how you feel as much. And powerlifting, is all about just lifting some fucking weight, just putting some shit on the bar and lifting it.
Yeah.
So you
What
either
your
lift
body
it
can do.
or you don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like one of the only ways I feel like you can see progress week to week, because you're putting weight on the bar, and you're and it could be like 2 pounds, it could be 5 pounds,
Yeah.
but it's still progress, and
Yeah.
it feels amazing.
Mhm.
And ultimately, yeah, it shifted my perspective of being so obsessed with how I look, though I still was, to like, I actually love how this makes me feel. And I actually like am obsessed, becoming more interested in my performance and how I can make that better. And it took a long time, but I'm thankfully not struggling with my eating disorder anymore,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yay.
You got a high five too.
High five. Yes, high five. Yay. But yeah, so that's kind of like been my fitness journey. And throughout that, I've fallen in with some really amazing people. When I got into powerlifting, Meg Squats was one of the first people I found online who was a female who was powerlifting, who was like documenting her journey. And I just thought she was the coolest, nicest, funnest, funniest person.
Real.
Yeah.
Real.
She's
Yeah,
super
she
real.
is,
And I just remember like watching her YouTube videos and being like, I want to be friends with her.
Yeah.
I want to be
Mhm.
friends with her. And at the time she was living in DC. She ended up moving to New York. And I just wanted to be like, I want to meet her. Like, she lives here now. Like, I want to make this happen. So I'm powerlifting. I'm posting videos of me powerlifting. I had her shirt on. I bought a shirt of hers. I tagged her in my post. And she like DM'd me and was like, hey, can I come work out at your gym? Like, I don't like the gym I'm working out at. And I was like, what? Are you kidding?
Yes.
Of course. Yes, come work out. And at the time I was lifting at Mid City, which is like a gym like nearby. It's here in Midtown. It's like just like tiny little basement gym, but I like fucking love it. And she came and we kind of hit it off, and we've been kind of friends ever since. And fast forward like 6 months after that, she asked me to like bring me on her team to like manage her negotiations with brands and brand deals with her channel and her Instagram. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. I'm like so honored you want me on your team because I love her and I love her mission and I love everything she's about. And I'm just honored to get to be a part of that. So that's like one of the things I do. And then fast forward like another year or so, I found myself looking for a new job. And my good friend Jordan Syatt, who I became friends with just from being, again, a fan and then a client and then stuff like that. He was looking for some help on his team. And so I offered my services. And so I've been working with him now for nearly a year. And that's kind of, I guess, my position in the fitness industry now is kind of supporting these bigger brands and these bigger people with bigger platforms. And it's so fun because I discovered somewhere along the way, I when I was saying I wanted to be a trainer, I did start to train people for free. I started doing like these cool boot camps and training some friends or friends of friends one-on-one. And I just found that like it wasn't lighting me up like, being on the powerlifting platform lit me up, or like just like going in and having an amazing strength training session lights me up and it makes me feel. And I didn't get a lot of joy out of personally teaching people about it or walking them through movements. So I learned pretty quickly. I was like, this is not ultimately what I want to do, but I still love fitness and I still love what it does for people and how it can transform people's lives. So I've sort of fallen into this amazing position where I get to be a part of it, but not be the face of it. Yeah. Which is like what you mentioned, which is what your segue was.
Yeah.
And it's great too. And it's like, I'm so honored I get to work for people that are friends of mine because I just want to see them succeed. And I also really care about their mission. And to get to be a small part of that is so awesome. And it's like, I can't tell you what it's like your motivation changes so much when you're connected to a mission, like particularly when it's not you and your own brand, you have your own mission, right? You're obviously fighting for that or spreading your own message. And like, that's easy to get fired up about. Right. But when you're working for someone else, if you're not in alignment with like everything that they're doing, you're not going to be motivated to work as hard or to do your best. And I don't care who you are. That's just the truth. So it's so amazing because I've been in so many different types of jobs throughout my life where I'm just in the job to have the job and just totally checked out. But when you're like working for people that are your friends and you actually want to see them succeed, like I never worked harder and it's never felt easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're on the right path.
Yeah.
And I love that you were a client first. Like you did something with Meg first and we're a consumer and then it happened to work out naturally.
I'm hardcore consumer. Like I can tell you like all the programs I bought. But it's kind of great too because now I'm in this position where I get to help their clients or potential clients. And I'm like, well, I am them. I used to be them. Right. So
this was my experience going through that program. Here's how I felt. Here's how it could have been better. Here's where we can adjust your program.
Yeah.
That's that's and I love Meg's persona online, and she's just a really sweet person in general, and I really appreciate what her mission is in the market.
Yeah.
Keep missing her in different cities. Like I'm in LA, she'll be in New York, or I'm
I was
in
gonna
New
say,
York,
have you met her yet?
Yeah, once.
Okay.
Back in August, I was here. We had a beer and just caught up because I was like, hey, I really like what you do. I want to meet you. And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Weird, and then it's funny because Jordan has an entirely different persona than Meg and a different audience and a different clientele. What made you jump into his program?
So I Meg was one of the first people I found with powerlifting and also like Jen Sinkler and JVB. And I ended up doing actually their beta group for their powerlifting program that they created, which was amazing. That was my first real like having been coached and understanding all the powerlifting movements and how to progress and all of that. Big shout out to both of them. They're amazing coaches and trainers. And
JVB, you guys will launch right after JVB.
Oh, heck
Nice.
yeah, JVB. Fucking love her. She's the shit. And so from there, Meg for me was more of like someone I just looked up to and someone that I just was inspired by. And so I didn't ever like actually do one of her programs. She wasn't offering coaching at that point. But after I worked with JVB and Jen, I wanted to keep getting coached. Oh, actually, I think after that, I actually got a coach specifically for my meet. I did a meet.
Yeah.
It was great. I won my weight class. Wasn't trying to do that, but it was amazing. And then after that, I wanted to keep doing powerlifting, but maybe not like one-on-one with the goal of competing again right away.
Yeah.
And Jordan, comes from the powerlifting world as well.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who may not know, he holds a lot of world records. Kind of amazing.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah. I don't know. He's deadlifted like 4 times his body weight, and like he's crazy.
I would not. Sorry, Jordan. I don't know Jordan. I would have never. I'm going.
Oh.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, I think he doesn't weigh that much. So
Yeah, he competed in some like 130 whatever weight class.
Yeah.
But so still
super strong.
incredibly
Oh,
impressive,
yeah.
like insane. So yeah, he comes from the powerlifting world as well.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I worked with Louis Simmons, like all that stuff. So he was offering some group training program, like 3-month program, and it was like powerlifting based.
Oh,
Like
okay.
that was like
Yeah.
the base of the workouts, and I wanted that, and I wanted accountability and a community, and he like shifted my mindset with nutrition so much. He also was like the first coach I ever had online, and I've had a handful, who was like, "Hey, let's get on the phone." I was like, "What? You're gonna talk to me on the phone? I'm not even paying for one-on-one coaching with you. I'm in a group." And he was like, "Yeah, let's get on the phone." And like I remember like just feeling like an idiot, like talking to him about the time I was really struggling with my eating disorder and stuff. And he just like listened and offered support and offered a like new perspective and a new strategy to
Yeah.
help me with whatever I was struggling with. And I was like totally blown away. But that's Jordan, man. Like he
Yeah.
really cares about
Mhm.
helping people,
Totally.
and that is why he is so successful.
Yeah.
So when you're mentioning like, oh yeah, I just help people for free, I'm like, that is literally how you are successful, and it's not
Yes.
even just about helping them for free.
It
It's
shows
about
that you
caring
care,
about
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
that
That's
you're not
it.
just doing it for money.
That's it. You just have to care about
Yeah.
people,
Mhm.
and you can't not be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. His energy is so. What's the word? Addictive is the wrong word.
Attractive.
Yeah, attractive. There we go.
Magnetic.
Magnetic. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, I just watch a video. I'm like, God, this guy's amping me up.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
just so excited,
So
just so
positive.
happy,
Great.
and
Mm.
fucking unicorn poop coffee with his like Harry
Unicorn
Potter
magic.
euphemisms, and I'm
Yes.
like, oh, okay,
Yes.
he seems like a fun
He's
dude.
so funny.
I create stuff for him all the time based on what content he's written, and I just get to reread his captions, and I'm
Yeah.
like, the Harry Potter references like all the time. I love them. I have a Harry Potter tattoo here. So, but he's just so great, and both Meg and Jordan, they just are themselves.
Yeah.
Like they just are themselves, and
Yes.
I appreciate that so much, and it's I think why people connect with them
Yes.
and people love them. But yeah, ultimately that's how I got in with Jordan. He just did a group, and then we stayed in touch, and that's kind of how it hit off. So
And you're like, once again, like end all be all goal. Like fitness wasn't necessarily early in like a path that you were gonna take
no,
because you're also
I'm also an actor and a
Yeah.
performer.
Mhm.
And I think ultimately that's what I realized why being like a one-on-one personal trainer isn't the thing that's going to light me up, because I do
Mhm.
like being in front of an audience. I
Mhm.
think back in the day, if I had really committed to doing it, I could have found a place in maybe group fitness.
Yeah.
Because that is like more performative.
Mhm.
like
Um,
MFF.
Yeah, like oh
Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
shit.
yeah,
If I
she
had
would kill
known,
it
if I had
there.
known about MFF back then, I would have been like, this is where I want to work.
Right.
And so now I'm a ninja, and I still love it, and I get to
Right.
hang out with them all the time, and it's the best.
MFF is Mark Fisher Fitness,
Yeah.
who we just had Amanda and Raj on, and we've had Mark on before as well. So
Yeah, they're all amazing. Amazing
Yeah.
Yes.
humans. Just every time I get to be in a class with them or a seminar, I'm like, I'm constantly blown away with
yeah,
the magic that comes out of their mouths, and like how they
Mhm.
motivate and how they
Mm.
see you and how they
And working
connect.
out there is so much fun.
It's just, that's why I like going. I just go and like drop my life for an hour, and I get to like laugh and be present and push myself and connect with people next to me, and it's
Yeah.
the best. And that's what fitness is about, right? It's about
Mhm.
community.
that's right. Look at you go. You get another high five, just bringing it back. That's awesome. No, and
Yeah.
I love that your journey came from like your own self, like
Yeah.
looking for things that you can help better yourself. And
Yeah.
so many people come through this industry, and that's not going to degrade their journey. But it's, I went to this school and I interned with this guy, or I did this and this and this. But so many people, so many successful people have come through that didn't come from the lens of perspective of fitness. Like I was a trainer, my mom was a trainer, I was an athlete, or I went to school for this, and I any of that, and
Yeah.
that's great if you did that. However, it does not facilitate that you're going to be successful. And I use success not because, and I don't know how much any of them make, nor do I give a shit. As long as they're making money and they're happy, that's fine. But success, I find, is not based on just purely financial means, but in terms of the energy you're putting out there and what your mission is, and how hard you fucking work. To be honest, like if you're a trust fund kid and you went through that route, like I'm all about that because I care about you as a person. I care about our connection. I care about how hard you work, and I have a hard time connecting with people that I feel don't work hard.
Right.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So success to me is like someone who's like willing to go out and get it done and create their own. Like if you're not willing to bet on yourself, why would I fucking bet on you?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
sure.
to me, that's where success is. And then financially, if you're being successful in the sense of like you're out there just fucking grinding and working hard,
Yep.
then the money's gonna find you,
Yes.
right?
It
But
can't not.
it can't not.
Yeah.
And you're gonna end up meeting more amazing people, and it might be a long journey,
Yes.
right? And it might happen the day after you start. Right, but that doesn't negate the value of where that journey came from. It just means that we had different opportunities in our lives
Right.
that stimulated where we are. So real quick before we transition from that comment, what's a piece of advice that you have for brand new trainers trying to get in the industry that they can, or even fitness, anybody who wants to work in
Online
fitness,
or in fitness in general?
just
or-
for you, let's just go fitness in general. Like maybe someone is like, I don't want to be online like Devin. I don't want to be in person like Amanda, but I still love this industry. They still love connecting with the Jordans and the Megs of the world. Maybe what's some advice that you have for them, how they can get into this industry without being a trainer?
Definitely find communities you can go infiltrate.
Mhm.
And by that, I mean be a part of, experience, try out. So if you have a place like MFF, go to class, meet people, meet the trainers, meet the other people working out, learn about them, learn about what they're up to, why they found themselves here, or find an online group online. I find I've done tons of online groups, being a consumer, being a person, a part of the group, coaching groups online, and there is something so magical about the community that you find and the friends you make. I have friends that I have met years ago in these coaching groups, like this fat loss whatever group, that I'm still good friends with, that I haven't met in person yet. Hopefully I will one day, but I'm just I still connect with them, on a daily basis, weekly basis online, and it's so fucking cool. I can just be like, yeah, I met this person in this fitness group, and we have these things in common, and it's cool. He also does all these other cool things, and it's just but try lots of different groups, put yourself in that position, and you never know where things are gonna go. And if there are people you want to connect with, or you want to meet, or that you're inspired by, reach out to them. I'm not particularly amazing at that. Again, I didn't reach out to Meg. I tagged her in something and she happened to reach out to me. But to me, I feel so, again, honored to get to know her and to get to be on her team. And that it's possible to meet people from the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, just because you don't slide into someone's DM doesn't mean that you automatically are going to connect with them.
No,
Right.
Because you
definitely
could have
not.
been a shitty person. She'd been like, this bitch is fucking crazy.
Right.
She's just a super fan. No, whatever.
No.
No, but it's like you got to
No.
still be real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
for
You
real.
still got to bring value to the relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's something cool. This is a little side note, but
No,
something
keep going.
cool
Side
that
notes are
Meg
great.
has told me so she came and trained at my gym, and there's a little fee for having a guest there, and I just paid it. And she was like, "Are you sure?" No, it's fine. I got it. It's it's not. It was $12 or something.
Mhm.
And she's like, I was like, no. Anytime anyone's a guest here, I pay for it.
Yeah.
And she's like, she told me later on, she's like, since you did that, anytime I have a guest at the gym, I pay for them. And I was like, that's so cool. But wasn't getting any, I wasn't trying to get anything from her. I just was so happy she was there and come and hang out. And I was honored to be in her presence. And,
Nice.
that's one small thing I could have done. It's
Yeah.
of course, I got your guest fee. Why would that be on you?
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool little. I've been trying to be better about thank you cards.
Yeah.
And just small shit like that is you don't think it
Just
makes a
showing some
difference, but then.
appreciation.
Yeah.
Because you do it so naturally, oh yeah, it's not a big deal, right? And you devalue it because yeah, it's fine. I'm happy to. It's $12.
Yeah.
But
Thank
then
you
that
for
meant
coming.
so much to that person that it left an imprint.
Yeah.
That's so fucking big.
Mm-hmm.
So where can someone slide into your DMs or reach out to you and find you if they want to reach out?
They can find me at on Instagram, @Nardizzi, Nardizzi. It's Italian. And Kat Nardizzi on Facebook. I don't have a professional page or anything at the moment. And then my website will be back online soon, but it'll be an actor website, so counterdeasy.com.
So we can look at your reel
So you
and we
can look at all my other crazy shit that I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now we look at someone who's had a more traditional journey like myself and is in her journey for a few years beyond the 23. Nothing wrong with being 23, but we're reminiscing about
I'm
being out of
definitely not
college for 10 years.
23.
So Miss Amanda Adele,
Yes.
I would love to learn more about you and this.
Yes. Native Long Islander.
Okay,
Grew up in a pretty rich town being a poor kid.
interesting.
Yeah. But kind of got into not so healthy habits pretty early on. Was like drinking and smoking like before like 13 years old.
Oh wow.
Dang, get it, girl.
Mm.
Damn.
Young.
I grew up like in a pretty toxic environment. Like both my parents were drug addicts. There was like verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. So it was kind of like more of a fight or flight. I say sports saved my life, but it's honest. It's definitely like 100%. But I found running pretty early on. Like I think I was 12, 13. So around the time like I was starting to mess around with like the not so good crowd. But it really did like save my life because I realized I was good at it at a pretty young age. So the coaches like kind of like recruited me. They wanted me on the teams, and I also then became like I moved pretty quick like up the roster. I was really fast, so I was like on the cross country and track teams. Yeah.
What were your events? Obviously, cross country is cross country.
Yeah, 1,500 meter, 3,000 steeplechase.
Oh,
Steeplechase was awful.
You like the shitty ones.
It gave me nightmares. Legit nightmares.
Wait, can you explain to me what so don't know track and fields?
Yeah.
What is the steeplechase?
The steeplechase is literally, they have hurdles, but it's like horse hurdles, and they're like water pits that you have to jump over.
What?
Dude, everyone gathers around the track like it's a freaking like everyone's just waiting for somebody to fall.
Oh
Literally.
my God.
It's a show.
It's horrible. It's a shit show. You have to like mentally be in a space. You're like, I used to shake on the starting line.
Oh my god.
Really?
Just shake. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of like, it literally saved my life in the sense that my team became my family. My coaches really did become my parents.
Mhm.
I was really lucky that Oyster Bay, where I went to high school, the teachers they all loved me.
Yeah.
I actually got teacher's pet.
Aww.
Like the yearbook. But it was because they were legit my friends.
Yeah.
They were like the adults that I always looked up to. But yeah, and they just always took care of me. So I was like pretty lucky in that sense.
I mean, being a good teacher isn't just about, it's about being able to convey the same message so 45 people understand the same thing together. But with that, it's like giving someone what they need so they can learn, right? And obviously your teachers recognizing where you were at in your life, giving you maybe a little bit of stability and companionship where you may not have had that
Totally.
early on. So I
Yeah.
think that's really powerful that you had
Yeah.
such amazing
I
influences.
mean, they believed in me, and
Yeah.
then once the track and the cross country, once I realized I was good at something,
Yeah.
I had like purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and I was good at something, so it really resonated with me, and it made me feel good as a young adolescent.
And then you have these, I've got short ass squatty legs built like a South Park character, and Amanda's got these lovely long legs that can carry her for long distances.
does.
So I'm like, oh yeah, that's why you might like those, because you can actually cover like my 9 steps to her like 1. Like we haven't walked around New York yet, but I imagine it's gonna be me jogging and her just walking.
I do walk very fast.
Oh, good. Let's
Beware.
add up the cadence too. That works out great. So, you got into cross country and track, and you found some influences with some great teachers and coaches that really helped you stay on the path.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was like pretty poor in the sense that like going to college was always a dream to me. So once I got like around to sophomore year, I was like, all right, so I'm not staying in this town with like my toxic like home life. I have to get out. So I was like military. So I was like leaning towards military until like my guidance counselor was like, you're a good runner. Like you can take this to the next level. I was like, I really don't want to. I was like, right, maybe I should. Like military or NCAA Division 1 or 2. Like I'll take the
Yeah.
NCAA.
Yeah.
I'll try for a scholarship and see if I could get this college thing off the ground and do this. I was the first person in my family to go to college.
What?
Yeah.
High
Fuck
fives
yeah.
for you.
High fives.
Mhm.
That's fucking awesome.
But my town was so dope in the sense that, like, being a poor kid in a rich town, you really get taken care of. Like, all the churches around the holidays, they give you, like, Thanksgiving, you're going to have a turkey. Like, because the church and the community itself they take care of their, poverty-stricken people. So I was really lucky in the sense that, like, during the holidays, it was sad, but, like, we never really felt it in the sense that, like, there were gifts around the tree because of the sense that our community and the town really was always there. So when I applied to colleges, my high school, like, waived all the fees and everything. I think I applied to, like, 14 colleges. I got into, like, 11.
What?
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
That's amazing.
I know. I, like, really made everything work for me. Like, I'm, like, a quarter Spanish, so I was Hispanic. I was special ed, which was true. I was special ed, but I was also this, like, unbelievable athlete. So I, like, played that up, and I was the captain of my high school team, so I played that up. And then I was a bad test taker, so I didn't even try my SATs. You guys want to know what I did?
What did you do? Christmas tree it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't even open the booklet.
Holy
Dang.
shit.
I think I scored an 800.
Nice.
That's
But
pretty fucking
Didn't
good for
even
Christmas
open the
tree.
booklet. I was like, let me see. Hispanic, poverty-stricken, father's in jail, athlete, like, involved with after school, like the sports and I was in some clubs.
Uh-huh.
I was a good kid,
Yeah.
and my overall average was like a 90. So
Huh.
they're like, all right, this is a kid who tries. She has the odds against her. So that's why I got into 11 schools.
Right.
And the SAT was just like, all right, she's a bad test taker.
Yeah.
We'll scratch it. So made it work for me.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Use it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And where did you end up deciding on going to college?
So I went to Hofstra University.
Okay.
They gave me, like, a pretty decent amount of money to run. And at that time, I was also dating a guy. I didn't want to go far from him. So
Okay.
I decided, I felt good there. Like, I went for an overnight trip, and, the team it was really important to me to jive with the team.
Yeah.
So a lot of the colleges I applied to, I always went and I stayed the night, and I would really get a vibe with the team and the coach. That was
Mhm.
always, like, priority. So
And where is Hofstra?
Hofstra is on Long Island.
Hofstra. Okay.
Yeah, it's in Uniondale.
Okay. Very
Mhm.
cool. And so you ran there
Mhm.
and went through the college experience.
4 years, Bachelor of Science in Community Health and a minor in Sociology. So, like, I knew I loved health. I didn't know what I wanted to do, though. I didn't really want to go in, administration, or I didn't want to. I liked the idea of doing, like, something after, but I didn't want to go for my master's. But I loved, like, I dorked out on, like, epidemiology and kinese and stuff like that. But I still wasn't sure what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But I knew I was a good leader. So, coming from being, like, the captain of my cross country and track team, I was like, all right, I can inspire people. I'm good with people, like, from a social standpoint. Like, I knew how to read a room just walking into it. Like, my team, I just picked up on their energy. But I think it's because when I was younger, because of the fact that I was exposed to so much, like, toxic shit, I had to learn how to pick up on a room walking into it. If, mom and dad were in a bad mood or something was off, I had to be on. So that was something that carried with me until even this day. I'm able to pick up on my clients' moods and everything just walking into a room. So that's something that I'm thankful for.
Yeah. So, going through, the college experience, how was college for you? Like, coming from poverty and playing the sport, and obviously you got taken care of, you made it, like, you ate enough to sustain and go to life and move on. But college is a very different experience, especially, like, when your lens of perspective is so different, right? You were kind of under this, and I'm making assumptions, kind of under this, like, I got to do it myself and I got to fend for myself and I got to get this done.
Yeah.
But then college can be such a community because you're living in a dorm, you
Yes.
got a team.
Yeah.
Now you have all these people around you all the time, and that's a lot of nurturing and a lot
Yes.
of, like, close proximity of people touching and whatnot. When you're like, oh my god, I'm kind of used to, like, I run long distances because I
Yeah.
like my alone time and I like processing my shit.
Yeah.
So tell me about that experience.
Totally. I loved it. I
Yeah.
mean, during holidays, like, you had off for, like, 2 weeks, I would stay on campus alone.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go home. And, like, I was lucky enough to have a dorm on campus. So literally I would live there and I'd bartend, like, during those weeks off that we would have off, I'd stay on campus. I didn't
Wow.
ever want to go home.
Yeah.
So it really did become my family, and I love the closeness and proximity to my team, to my coaches and everything. So that was just like one of the best times of my life.
Yeah.
So that was really amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then you graduated in what, 2008?
Yes.
Okay, which once again is, as I've said this, 10 years ago. Fuck F my life.
That's when I graduated high school.
I hope you wake up in the middle of the night and stub your pinky toe on the bed. Yeah, and then can't fall back asleep. Take that. Fuck. Graduated high school. Jesus. But you were, that was not an awesome time to finish college and enter the
we graduated,
workforce.
right in the middle of the recession. You graduated, people were like, good luck.
Yeah.
Literally. You just walked out of college. You have all this, like, the loans are going to start rolling in come January. What the hell are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
We were all petrified. Everyone lived at home. All of my friends I graduated with, they were living at home. No one had no idea what we were going to do. Whatever you graduated with was irrelevant. No one was hiring. It was horrible. It was a horrible time. So I was actually driving boats like in the summertime. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do come October. Like, it's going to get cold. People don't go out on boats anymore. Like, what am I going to do? But I had a friend who worked over at Equinox on 19th and Broadway. Okay. And she told me about the club they were opening up on 74th Street and 2nd Avenue. And then she was like, you'd be an amazing personal trainer. You have the leadership in you. Try out for the job. I was like, not a bad idea. Like, why not? So I did. And I wound up getting hired in like a club on Long Island and also the club in the city.
Okay.
But I was like, I was always drawn to the city and the atmosphere and the vibe. And, I've been coming in and out since I was a kid. So I was just like, I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to see what Manhattan has for me.
Yeah.
So I did it. And I mean, it was the hardest time ever, most difficult. Right after college, I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't know if the job was going to work out, but I would pack one bag and just stay the week and be like, Gabby, sleeping on your couch Monday night, Pete, Tuesday night, Wednesday, Lauren.
Wow.
I play because you have to get off the floor at Equinox. And in order to do that, you got to, train a certain amount of clients. So, you need to be there. Prime hours are 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. If you're doing a commute, there's no way you're going to make those 5, 6, 7 a.m. clients. So I had to really hustle. I hustled my ass. I got staph infection on my ass. I was so sick because your immune system's run down. I had no home base. I was sleeping in cars.
Wow.
I was showered at the gym. I just kind of like make do wherever I could and however I could just to get off the floor. Once you got off the floor, it was a little better. It was like you had more flexibility and freedom, but it was that initial, I think, 4 to 6 months. It was just like the most difficult time ever, But you make do.
I mean, how amazing.
I was like
amazing.
22, 23. This one has her own business. She's like sitting back. She's waking up at 10 a.m. Like, what the fuck? Bro.
Yeah, also, Devin refused to train clients early in her gym.
I'm not a morning person by any means. And when I was working at LA Fitness, I was the only female trainer there. So I was at an advantage because they needed me.
Uh-huh.
And I operated on my rules because I don't like working for people. So I told them what I'm going to do. And I was like,
The guts.
So I was like,
Right.
I'm not wearing the shirt you want me to wear, and I'm not training clients in the morning. And they're like, well, you have to. I'm like, well, if I have to, then I'm quitting. And they're like, okay.
Okay.
So I didn't train anybody before 10 a.m.
Dang.
Yeah, right.
I was like getting ready for like my first meal after like 5 a.m., 6, 7.
I mean,
yeah.
I woke up before that, but still, I was just like, I'm not going to the gym that early.
Jeez.
So,
I mean,
Guts, this one.
I love
times
that
changing.
you were. I mean, that's what it takes to make it, especially on the industry side,
yeah.
where you have to go out and kill your own food to eat,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
But willing to sleep in cars, willing to,
To me, it was like, there's no way I don't have a choice.
yeah,
I didn't want to go back to my toxic mother. There was I made a choice to get far away from her, far. And I do have brothers and sisters, and I got flack for it.
Yeah.
They thought you're better than us. I ate it, but I was just like, there's no way I'm just going to wind up being, a CVS cash person,
Yeah.
working at the register at CVS or McDonald's. Like, that's not what I'm destined to do.
yeah.
I'm gonna roll the dice here.
Fuck
Even though the odds were always against me, I kind of just believed in myself, and I just always believed that there was something more for me.
Uh-huh.
You know, even though like I had no, my mom used to laugh at me when I tell her I'm going to college. You know, she'd be like, "Good luck with that."
Mm.
You know,
That is tremendous to overcome.
Mm.
Just like, obviously you recognize it was a toxic family situation,
Yeah.
but that is so hard to overcome.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
To have your own mom
have
and your
everyone
siblings
against
be
you.
like, "Oh, you're better than us." Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck with
it was,
that.
It was hard.
That is
It was
incredible.
but I do equate it to, you know, my guidance counselors and my coaches in high school. I think mostly in high school, it was just such a dark time,
Yeah.
and so you know, unclear what my future was and how I was going to get out of there. I felt so stuck and no help, you know, except for them. So now the reason why I do what I do, I mean, a part of it is because I want to be that light for my clients.
Oh.
You know, I want people to see, like, you may feel like there's no way out and, you know, all is lost and helpless, but there is a light and it's in you. You know, everyone just like, my whole thing is I try to empower my clients and let them see, like, all they need is in themselves. Like, that's all you need to succeed. Just make the choice to believe and put your all into it, and it will happen. The universe will conspire with you. You know, you just got to put your head down and fucking grind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not pretty. It's not easy. You're going to have staff on your
Messy.
ass.
That's crazy.
You know, you're going to, oh God.
I mean, that's one of the worst places you could probably get staff. Probably not the worst, but it's
one
right
of
up there.
them. One of them.
One
If
of them.
anyone knows, like, what it's like to work in a commercial gym, like the first 6 months to a year, I felt like I was always sick. You're just exposed to this new, like, environment. There's so
I
many
always
germs
felt dirty,
around.
too.
Yes. So I just was always sick. And
Well, thankfully, members are super clean. They wipe up after themselves.
Yeah,
and you're
they're
not touching a lot
super-
of bodily fluids.
Yeah.
right.
Whereas like LA Fitness and Equinox. Like,
LOL,
eh.
sarcasm.
Sharing
Right.
space, and you're like, oh, all
Connecticut.
right,
Should
yeah,
be a course taught in it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fucking yeah.
Mm.
But once again, overcame that, and
Yeah.
we're able to, you know, I think that it's so amazing because it's a typical movie playlist, right? In terms of, like, you know, there's like 4 movie plot lines, right? Low income person rises to the occasion, has some influencers in their life to finally overcome and make it, and to find themselves in the big city, right? And but you know, you see it in movies and you see it in romantic comedy and shit, but then you to find someone who's lived it, right? Where it's like, yeah, that wasn't a movie, that was my life. Like, I still go through that shit, right? But it's such a powerful, because, like, you're gonna connect with clients and the people that you touch every day different than I will entirely. You know, not because male, female, but because of our life experiences and the lens of perspective that all that shit
Sure.
has given you,
Right.
And at the time, and I can't speak to your life because I didn't live it, but at the time, and maybe it's still, like, it fucking sucked. Like, sure, the white picket fence life would have been awesome with the fucking golden retriever, and then the dad who went to Harvard and was like, oh, well, my associate's gonna get you the job, and blah 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 blah. And, like, sure, that's great, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, like, the break that you needed to catch was going through that shit, because now look who you're able to serve.
Exactly.
Right? I look at my life, like, in fitness, when I had to take a job at 24-hour Fitness selling memberships to, you know, get a job. I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like, how can I not catch a break? But that was my break.
Right.
Because that's why I'm here today.
Mhm.
Right? And so going through the tumultuous childhood that you went through, like, as much as it sucks still, and it did suck at the time, like, look how much because you were able to overcome that, look how much positive change you've been able to touch so many amazing people, and in ways that the 3 of us could never.
Right.
Right? And that's so important to honor that journey, and I think it's so fucking special that you were able to do.
Thank you.
To have
Um,
that self-belief, that is
yeah.
special.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, that is,
Yeah.
that is not
your clients are very
common.
lucky to train with you.
I feel like, you know, no matter, I do want to do more online stuff and transition more to on, but the one-on-one connection, it's just like they feel it, and there is a certain magic that happens between, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to give up that one-on-one training, because I do value it, and there is a certain, you know, just magic that happens that I can pick up on when they walk in. As soon as they walk in the door, you had a bad day, your back's hurting, like whatever it is. And it's because I had to go through that stuff when I was a kid, you know, walking to a room, drugs were all around. I had to always be on my toes and know who I had to manage as a fucking 4, 5, 6-year-old. You know, I had to beg my mom not to kill herself when I was 9. You know, it's just like you become an adult and it gets robbed of you. But as an adult, you're able to pick up on these things that other people can't.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I love my one-on-one personal training, but I do want to eventually move more toward like mostly being online and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I can't diminish the fact that there is like a special aspect that I have with my clients one-on-one.
Yeah. I mean, what if even, and this is just how my mind works, is like you set up like an online community, kind of like what Devin's done, and so you tell your story and it allows people to connect with you,
Yep.
right? And hopefully people hear this and like, oh my God, fuck, my
Yeah.
life's so much better than I'm making it out to be,
Yeah.
right? And they want to jump in and they be a part of your community, and then maybe you're able to, because you can still share so much inside of your community that allows you to touch people on a daily, and maybe it's
Right.
like Jordan did, making a phone call.
Yeah.
Right? Connecting with your people each one-on-one. And then maybe you do a couple one-on-ones and maybe you do one
Yeah.
that's like a pro bono. Maybe
Yep.
you find a kid that was like you that's like just searching for someone.
Mhm.
Like they got a lot of things going well for them, but they just need that next person to like, hey,
Yes.
you fucking got this.
Yep.
And maybe that's something you just get to do because it fulfills you,
Mm-hmm.
right? With no monetary attachment. Because that's the downfall with trainers, and is that you're like, oh my God, I got to sell these sessions so I can like pay rent next month.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a shitty feeling because you want to serve them and you love them so much.
Mm-hmm.
You
But
want to
you're
make
like,
ends meet as
Yeah,
well.
you gotta make
Right.
ends meet.
The motivator is
Yep.
so
Yeah.
important.
If you could take the monetary piece out of that piece of the training and you can just be fulfilled by what you enjoy, that might be something that would be really valuable in that essence. But the right scenario is going to pop itself up to you, and maybe it's connecting with these lovely ladies and finding something to do, or maybe it's
And she recently had an amazing Instagram post about her journey with New York City.
I'm
and
trying to open up,
Yeah.
as you could say.
and
I
you
have
got
a
and you
hard
had amazing
time.
feedback. You said.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. And the thing is, I do have to do more of this speaking about it because I don't know what it is. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's, I'm just not comfortable talking about myself. But, my whole thing is I don't want people to pity me, but I also need people to understand that, like, I'm more than, I need to just open up more, and I'm more than like, my Instagram posts, and I have a story. We all do.
For sure. But see, I hear your story and I don't pity you. I'm inspired by
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
I am like very
In
touched
awe
right
of,
now
Mm.
because I'm like, fuck, what could I accomplish if I had that?
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional. That same self belief, like that is really incredible. And
Thanks.
you need to share. You keep sharing it
Mhm.
because who else could you
Hmm.
inspire?
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry.
Damn.
choked up. That's great. I love it.
Damn.
No, it's and that's why the podcast is so powerful, because it allows people to see so much into, because if they're only going to look at your Instagrams, right, they're like, oh, well, she's got it figured
Yeah.
out. She's got whatever following. She's pretty. She's like strong. She does this. She's got that going on. And like, unless you come out and tell people, because
Yeah.
it's not coming from I'm doing it to spite you. Like, well, I fucking had parents who did drugs,
Right.
and that's why I'm
You're
cool.
doing- yeah,
Because it's not
No,
coming from
no.
that
I guess
lens.
that's a fear of mine that like I don't want to be that person. Like I don't. People don't care. We all
Yeah.
come from somewhere. But I guess finding the balance between like, explaining to people that in a way like that. I just want to inspire people
Yeah.
and empower people. So
Mhm.
maybe telling a little bit about my background will do that. Will help to do that with the people I'm working with now.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And doesn't mean that those are the only people that you're going to work with,
Right.
because hopefully you get to work with someone who's hasn't come through that. That's just like fucking like, oh my God, like I want to be a better person because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you can help someone that's like going through that. Like, oh my God, I like her because she gets me. Like, I'm not going to get them because I didn't go through that. Right. And so it's like, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't have a great relationship with them. I don't connect with them, but it's like that little piece
Mm-hmm.
where they're like, oh my God, my family used to laugh at me when I was going to go to college.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be about the abusive home,
Right.
right? It could literally be about a personal experience like that you guys share,
Yeah.
right? And so telling the story about where you come from is why I want people to be able to connect with each person, as opposed to like, what do you like better, the sumo deadlift or the traditional deadlift,
Oh my
or the
God.
suitcase deadlift, or the
Yeah.
goblet squat? I'm like, meh. There's a lot of other great content out there, but like this is an opportunity for people to find you and connect and like, oh fuck, her story is so cool.
Mm.
Like I'm touched.
Yeah.
Like this.
I'm moved.
Mm.
I'm
Right
moved
here.
to tears.
And you see her, like you guys are friends. You see each other all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And it still has that same power. So I think it's so important that for us to be able to be comfortable sharing that story. And it doesn't mean it's going to come out all at once.
Yeah.
And today it's this much, and tomorrow it's this much, and next week it's this much, and next thing you know, we're like, God, Amanda just won't shut up.
No,
just kidding.
but-
if I get to that point.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Never underestimate the power of sharing your story, even on like an Instagram caption,
Yeah.
because you don't know who's going to read it
Mm.
and be inspired by a piece of it. You
Mhm.
don't know.
Mhm.
Like working for Jordan, I get to see a lot of these people reaching out to him being like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing this story on your Instagram today. I really needed to read it. It really helped me process this own thing in my life.
And it
Mhm.
helps people not feel alone.
Yes.
Mhm.
And also just like perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective, right?
Perspective.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
get it. Like for me, like I share a lot of lifting and I share a lot of like content around that, but like I don't share like emotional feelings
Yeah.
or like, but like I did one because I was in Portland and I walked by the first 24-hour fitness that I walked by and I was like, hey, 10 years ago today, I started working in fitness at this facility and like we all have a journey and we should celebrate where we all come from.
Yes.
And I got so many messages from that. I'm like, oh, like I never get that many like replies back from the
Yeah.
story. And I was like,
Hmm.
maybe I could be a little, because I don't come across very heartfelt. I think I am a heartfelt person, but like
You
I don't
are.
come across that
Yeah,
way
you-
from a social persona,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
got your
Sure.
guard up. Like I need to be
Sure.
on. I need to like
Yeah.
I'm in this space. I'm in this space. I do this. Like I got cool shit going on. Like
Mm.
I can't be slowed down by like letting myself be vulnerable or
Mhm.
showing that I have emotion.
Right. Right.
Right. And so it's like I totally get that level.
Mm.
And it's because it feels weird to like just share a motivational quote,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And
And it's really not that motivating.
right. I mean, maybe if
The story
maybe
behind it is.
if I was in like a Borat singlet
Mm-hmm.
on a couch, being like, "So we all love and share people," and then whatever it is, right? And like, just do the opposite flip side. Before we go too far down, you skipped over the boats,
Yeah.
and I want to know what kind of boats you were driving.
So I was a launch operator at a yacht club over in Oyster Bay, and I taught myself how to drive the boat because I didn't want to work at CVS, during my
Yeah.
summer breaks, and I didn't want to work at a pizza shop. I wanted to do more, and I wanted to surround myself with people that were, maybe in a different social class and
Mhm.
be positively influenced by those kind of people. And on Long Island in a yacht club, you could find those kind of people there.
Mhm.
So even as a kid, I was like, I'm going to surround myself with successful adults and do whatever it takes to teach myself how to drive a damn boat. So I went through, Merchant Marine Academy, and it's a big deal to have your any kind of boating license. They kind of put you through the ringer. But I did it, and but actually driving the boat, I mean, you can't fake it. So my first 3 months, I was actually nicknamed Crash, but supposedly
At least you were driving tugboats that have a shitload of like tires and rubber.
yeah,
around them.
tugboat center
Yeah.
console. I mean, they were kind of a bitch to learn on, but supposedly I was kept around because my shorts were short enough where I was able to stay, but all the men just loved having me around. So yeah, and the dock master was really something else. He gave me a chance, and again, it's all about just believing in yourself and then attracting these people who just kept giving me a chance.
Yeah.
And it's just like he knew I had no fucking idea how to drive a boat, but he was like, I'm gonna give you a chance. And that was how I got to where I am today, because I just kept getting lucky enough for one person to believe in me. And that really got me where I am today. So yeah, I didn't have an easy time learning, but once I learned I could drive those boats with my eyes closed. And he
While
was
chugging a Corona.
yeah, well, my dock master, he's a Vietnam vet. He'll probably never hear this, but I swear to God, he could down a Corona bottle in 3 swigs. I'd go, in the back by the tool shed, and I'd see him. He'd have either it was a box of tools, but inside all loaded with like a 12 case of Corona. It was like 2:00 in the
Gotta
afternoon.
go
He's
get a tool.
loaded. I'd be like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Having a cold one. Kick it off." Throw it back. Literally, I kid you not, 3 gulps. Go, done.
Damn.
I was like, God damn. Oh my God.
yeah.
And he would talk war stories. I was like, all right, I think I'm going to try the personal training thing in the city.
Yeah.
This was
But
fun.
Yeah, it came to a crossroad where I got offered a position on the Dolan's deck. Charles Dolan owns Cablevision, has a huge 160 foot sailboat in the harbor, and they offered me a position on the deckhand as a deckhand on the boat, or eventually probably become like a bay constable, kind of like a local policeman on boat, and all great, nice pension paying jobs, I'm sure, but the growth is where it's
Limited,
at,
yeah.
And I was like, personal training, that inspires me more, that kind of
Mhm.
moves me more. There's more potential. I see more potential, more opportunity to meet new people, and that's really what did it. Because I mean, there's no denying I love the water, I love boats, but I just saw more potential to impact people in a positive way. My whole thing is, when I got hired for Equinox, the reason why he hired me, he said, besides for my white palms and my skirt, was he said that the thing that did it for him was when I said, I just want to help people, and that's
Mm.
always been my motto, I just want to help inspire people, motivate them, and just like let them see that all the power they really need is in themselves. Just empower people.
Where did this attitude of servitude come from? Because at your root, like it was survival of the fittest. Like you were surviving for you,
Yeah.
right? Trying to feed yourself, trying to get yourself through school, doing homework in a whatever environment, and like
Mhm.
sleeping on couches. Like that's not usually an environment that fosters serving other people's missions and being so willing to give yourself to others'
Mm.
cause. Where did that come from?
I think just recognizing that like gratitude and giving back can lift you and raise you more than anything, and if you don't have like, if you're not being bombarded with gifts or you're not being lifted up, the way to lift yourself up is to lift others, so I found that out at an early age. And I think being a coach or being my captain of my high school and my college cross country and track teams, like having those girls look up to me, it served as like fuel, to keep going, to keep improving in myself. So really like serving was always something that always made me feel good.
That's awesome. Where are you at now? Because you're not at Equinox anymore.
Yeah. So I left Equinox like after 3 years, and they say when you're the smartest person in the room, get out. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get out now without really a plan.
Yeah.
So I left. I started my own business 2012. And now I'm kind of on my own. I'm just training in-person clients. I have about a quarter of my business online, and I'm mostly on the Upper East Side with my in-person clients, but obviously online. I have clients all across like America. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And who are you trying to touch? Like who's the clients that you're working with the most, or who's finding you the most right now?
Right now, I'm kind of attracting women in their 30s and 40s, mostly women who had like their first kid, and I'm dealing with a lot of women who are having like metabolic issues with losing weight, mostly with reverse dieting. So I'm specializing with reverse dieting because it's something I did some bodybuilding competitions like back in 2015. I learned a lot about nutrition when I went through it.
Mhm.
Reverse dieting specifically, and how important it is to reverse diet after extreme diets and stuff like that. So now I'm working with a lot of women to actually increase their overall like caloric intake and just educate them on, how to eat healthy. And it's not about restricting and just taking them out of these metabolic holes that they've found themselves in for 2, 3, 4, 5 years plus, a lot of the time prescribed to them by Western doctors to lose weight, and then they just peace out after they lose the weight. But these women are left, just high and dry with no idea, and fear, fear to eat more, fear that this is what they have to do to maintain this certain look. And there's nothing being taught to these women about, reverse dieting. You can eat more, you just have to do it in a slow, strategic way. So that's really who I have been working with, women in their, I would say, 30s and 40s that have to really do some serious reverse dieting.
What is reverse dieting? The women that I worked with were kind of coming through that as well, coming off of a show. Like,
Yep.
and if you do a show, that's great, and I'm so proud of you if you do it. Like to have the discipline to want to eat tilapia and kale and do the stair climber and lift 6 days a week.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is, yeah.
I will never probably be doing it.
Nope.
At this point in my life, I might change my mind, but it's very hard on a female's body.
Totally.
Especially if you're not someone who naturally
Anyone's
stays
body, to
really,
be honest with you.
yeah.
They say
Yeah.
it's like 3 to 6 months for a woman's hormones to like recover
Yes.
Oh
after.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I had some women that had lost hair, teeth, their period for numbers of years, and like just trying to. It was a body confidence. Like, as I obviously can't relate to them on a menstrual cycle level and what you're
Right.
going through, but like from an emotional support level, I could at least be there. But introducing like a fear of, why we like powerlifting, right? And encouraging you to like be empowered, like, oh my God, I feel good lifting this weight. But the same thing with food, like, like, oh my gosh, it's okay to have a cupcake. It's okay to have a steak. It's okay to not count my calories. So what is reverse dieting?
Reverse dieting is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the strategic adding in of calories week to week, or sometimes it also includes like cutting back on cardio, because a lot of these women are doing way too much cardio. So there's different ways you can go about it, but basically it's the reverse of dieting. It's adding in calories week to week, and those calories could come from, depending on where their protein is, protein, fats, or carbs, but usually it's the manipulation of carbs and fats to get them up. And you're monitoring, as a coach, you're monitoring them week to week, because you don't want them to put on more than like 3 pounds in 1 week. That's a sign that their body, hold off on the calories, let things kind of catch up to speed. And it's pretty complicated, and it's not always like straightforward, and there's not one way to do it with all people, and that's really what I'm finding right now. I have different ways to do it, but the individual, we could try one way and it could, it may not work. We have to do another way. I'm finding that age definitely plays a factor, hormones, genetics. So it's pretty like advanced nutrition stuff. I have some nutrition background from college and stuff, but it's pretty advanced. But I'm having a great time learning, and being the test subject, I've done it on myself a couple of different times, different ways. And now I've coached over like a dozen women doing it, so I am getting better and more efficient. But the more I learn, the more I realize there are so many different ways to go about it.
What made you get into doing shows, right? Versus like being an athlete, running, and obviously having a skill specific fitness route to more of a objective fitness route. What made you want to jump into that journey?
I really wanted to do something that scared the hell out of me. I wanted to try something that was beyond my scope of comfort and knowledge. I think still to this day, I don't think there's been a more difficult and challenging sports, anything that I had to do other than bodybuilding. I've run marathons, but to really focus on your nutrition and really to do it when you're alone. I live alone, and it's hard. No one's looking at 10 o'clock at night. Like no one's watching what you're putting in your mouth. Like you really got to go somewhere in your mental space. So I really wanted to challenge myself in a way that I have never done before. Definitely accomplished it. Almost got lost in it.
Yeah.
It's
And
easy.
now you're able to help a lot of other women come out, and and I asked because I see you posting about the reverse dieting and for the people that you've to work with, and I think it's such an important journey, because you don't have to do a bodybuilding show either to need reverse dieting.
Just the chronic dieting,
Yes.
extreme dieting, like you said,
Yep.
which America has been taught, women specifically, been taught to diet in an extreme fashion.
Literally, I've had
Forever.
women come from working with doctors, like Western doctors, who prescribed them 1,900 calories.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's insane.
that's disgusting. It's so sad.
More and more, though, I mean, we're going to be in need, especially as the generations ahead of us, they get older. Like we fitness people that aren't exactly doctors, and we're going to be more and more relevant and important. So I mean, we might as well just step up now and take charge.
Who was I having this conversation with? Maybe Andy Galpin? Anyway, John Messon. Personal trainers are the first line of defense,
Yes.
because more
Yeah.
often than not, a lot of individuals will come to the trainer first before they go to the doctor, before they go to the specialist, before they go to PT. So, but there's always this big discretion between, well, a personal trainer is different than a sports performance coach, which is different from a physical therapist or a chiro. But it's like, we all fucking need each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? That personal trainer at LA Fitness is getting more people coming up to them and asking questions than that physical therapist. Right? And for different reasons. But it's like, oh, well, if I actually helped a trainer along their journey, or help them, or we're a part of the same network, we can work cohesively together, as opposed to like, well, they're not a trainer, they shouldn't be doing that. Well, they're not a therapist, they shouldn't be doing that. And it's like, actually, let's just shut the fuck up and work together. But while we're on the diet topic and going through this, obviously both of you have had eating disorders, and we talked about binge eating. What is binge eating for someone who may not be familiar with it, or not necessarily heard it come from someone who's been in it?
I think a lot of people have this misconception that binge eating is just overeating. But it's not Thanksgiving where everyone just overeats and eats a lot. It's this, you get in your head and you have a meal and you overeat the meal, but then you're like, okay, now I want ice cream. What else do I have in my pantry? And then you eat this and you eat that, and it like falls into the next day. And you're just constantly consuming this food it's not just like overeating. You're eating to the point where you feel so uncomfortable in your body, and you could vomit because you're so full, and your belly just feels like horribly uncomfortable. Um, that's what I would say like binge eating is.
It's a compulsive
Yeah.
disorder. It's totally and I this is my own definition of it. It's like a compulsive mentally driven disorder, like obsession with food and eating and overeating in particular, and not just overeating, but like binging. Like, and a binge is like it's extreme. It's a lot more extreme than overeating. And I can tell you when I was in it, and I was in my eating disorder for a good 11 plus years. It's just ruled my life, my thoughts about food, what I was going to eat, what I was going to try not to eat, if I overate a little bit, maybe stop myself, how I could punish myself with exercise. I had this whole thing with exercise too. But it's literally like you are completely lost in your thoughts about food all the time. And it's a really isolating disorder.
Because you want to hide it. You don't want to
Yeah.
let people know that
you're ashamed. Yeah. And it's getting lost in this binge strict cycle, this shame cycle. And yeah, it's hard. And for anyone that's struggling, like my heart goes out to you, because it is monstrous.
And it's hard to
mental
overcome
thing. Yeah. And my first advice to anyone who's struggling is, if you can, get some help from a professional, because I never got help from a professional.
I didn't either.
And I certainly probably would have gotten out of it sooner, and would have had a better understanding of how to get out of it and to be kinder to myself along the way. Because I know anyone that I've talked to that's had an eating disorder, or binge eating disorder particularly, is like they're so hard on themselves and they feel so lost and helpless.
Because especially when you're trying to overcome it, the minute you slip up and binge again, you're like, fuck, I'm not going to get over this. Like I just can't get my shit together.
And part of it too, I think, once you've been in it for a long time, is then you've then practiced the thinking patterns of, well, I fucked up, I just might as well keep fucking up because I'm a fuck up. And then you can reflect on yourself.
Yeah.
And it's all these things. And, none of those things have to be true and are true about you or yourself or whatever you're doing. And it's totally is a disease, a mental disorder rather, bred from like perfectionism. At least for me, I think for you too, and anyone that I've spoken to about it.
Yeah.
So
I've always placed it in the land between anorexia and bulimia. Like, get off my ass about not eating, or like I'm not eating, so at night when no one's looking, I'll like binge, and then to get someone finds out, and so then I purge, right, or something. So I always put it in that own middle land, but like it's its own thing.
Yes.
So my whole thing was like, for a while, I just like tried not to eat a lot of food, and I would follow really restrictive diets, and then I felt so deprived that it made me want to binge.
Yes.
Because then I'm like, okay, I'm going to have this cheat meal, but I couldn't just have it a cheat meal. I would just binge and like, okay, I'm just going to eat all this food because I know I'm not going to be able to eat it. And I was starving myself. So I just felt like I just needed to eat all this food.
Well, and I think too, binge eating can also come out of being just too restrictive with your dieting. And because, we're taught about like eat X amount of calories, restrict this type of food, only eat these types of food. It gets so restrictive.
Yep.
And then you get, you're starving yourself of like psychological pleasure of the foods, or like enjoyment of your foods and the types of foods that you're eating. And I think
because when you're binging, you don't even enjoy the food at that point.
No.
Yeah.
Oh God, no. I remember like ripping through like 2 pints. I was a period of time. I would eat like 2 pints of Ben and Jerry's at night, in addition to a lot of other food. And I'm lactose intolerant, like not the thing I should be eating.
Wow.
Nevertheless, like 2 pints. And I would feel more comfortable being uncomfortably full than I would not.
Wow.
Interesting.
And I used it for me to like numb my anxiety, my emotions, whatever I was going through. And I didn't, you're not conscious of that at the time. You feel completely out of control. You feel like you can't put the spoon down. Like you have to go, you're feeling this feeling, oh my God, I have to binge. Like you don't have the awareness around like, there are lots of steps to figure out why you're triggered, and to figure out how you can stop, and to practice stopping, and to practice like, I feel like,
and everyone like triggers or is triggered and has an eating disorder for different reasons. Like it could be an emotional thing, and they use food as like their coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Versus me, who was always like restrictive dieting, and that was my outlet. Like to just like, I'm not restrictive dieting. I'm gonna eat all the food that I love that I could never eat anymore.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of body dysmorphia stuff too.
Mine was definitely more of grew up with a mother who used food as a coping mechanism. And so I saw that and I took it on. I also prided myself from a young age as being someone who loved eating and was very good at it. And I got praised for it in my family. And my twin brother, who I was always in a competition with, did not like eating, couldn't eat as much as me. So I was like, I'm always going to finish food on my plate. I'm better than you. I like all the food you don't like. You know, finish your fit plate, never hard for me. And that ultimately fed into the fed into the disorder, because then it became like I felt guilty when I didn't finish my plate, even though I was full.
Yeah, growing up, my dad's like, you need to finish this if you want dessert.
It's such a fucked up thing to program into your brain, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, don't make yourself full. Like, don't do that. Don't develop that habit, because then you get used to that feeling, and that becomes normal.
Right. Well, I think it's also important to recognize that eating disorders don't need to come from like overindulgence of Ben and Jerry's and fucking pizza. It can also be from going too far the other end of like tilapia, kale, and hours of cardio and living in that zone. Like all I do is live in this, and like God forbid I even look at a goddamn Girl Scout cookie.
Which I got like that. I became so obsessive. Like for my first show, like for 4 months, I like panicked afterward, and I felt literally lost. And I actually never had an eating disorder until like post show, because of that restriction. And then when I was free to do whatever I want, I was binging. I ended up binging, and I had no idea like what it was, but people don't really talk about like those kind of risks that you take on if you do choose to compete. I mean, you will inevitably develop some kind of, obsession with food. You have to, if you want to do well, so that's definitely something I always tell people about when they come to me and they're like, I'm thinking about competing. Okay, well, let's keep it real. Like, you will become obsessed with food, and there's going to be a really high chance that you'll develop some kind of disorder if we don't reverse diet you properly.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Even orthorexia, right? Like being obsessed with hitting your numbers and hitting your calories.
Literally, I didn't date because if I couldn't track it, it wasn't happening. Like,
like you wouldn't leave. You wouldn't be social.
That was another thing when I decided that I need to shift my mindset with like the way I go about food and my body, was because my friend called me one night, and I already finished my macros for the day. And this guy that I've been talking to was like, hey, like I'm going out and getting drinks with my friends, and I would love for you to meet them finally. And I call my friend, I'm like, I already finished my macros. Like, I can't drink any more alcohol. And she is like, Devin, do you hear what you're saying? You're not going to go out and meet his friends because you finish your macros for the day. And that like all of a sudden hit me, and I was like, this is taking over my life, and this has to stop. And I did go get drinks.
Wow, good for you.
Progress. Yeah. See, and that's progress in that moment.
It is progress.
Right?
Yeah. No, it's something, and I was so excited. I love all of you, and I'm so excited to share your stories, but having known pieces of your stories, that this was relevant, and how many women and men have similar stories that they're not willing to share,
right?
Or going through the same things they don't know who to turn to, or it takes someone else's courage to talk about it in a forum for them to like, oh, she can be beautiful and strong, and having gone through that too. It didn't have to all be unicorns and glittery shits to get there, right? It was like, oh fuck, I'm here because of that, right? Which I don't regret, but at the same time, like that was a dark journey that's still something that I have to work on figuring out in order for me to continually deliver value, right? And the more I can peel back those layers, the more I can give, but understand that it's hard to peel back those layers and express that and be willing to share that with everybody. So for that, I'm very grateful that you guys have all been so willing to share that journey.
Thank you
for inviting us.
And I think it's super important to be able to allow you guys the space to talk about your journeys, because I think it's so powerful. I know we talked about earlier, like, I don't know if I want to, because I don't know how to, haven't told your story a lot, at least in this kind of forum, or like I don't work in fitness the same way. And it's like, fuck that. It's all something, because it's going to, even if this show only got listened to by one person, right? But that one person's like, oh my God, I just changed my life, and it was all worth it. Like, that's all that really matters. Quick, what's a piece of advice you have for a brand new trainer looking to get into the industry?
I would say be adaptable. Be open to learning to as many people as possible, and be adaptable. Your plan that you have, your next year plan, it won't go according to plan, and be okay with that.
Shit's gonna get fucked up. Be okay with it.
You have to
You're
be
gonna get
adaptable.
staff on
You
your
have to roll.
ass.
Right. You have to roll with the punches. You have to know that like things aren't going to go according to plan. And if you could adapt and, manage your expectations, you're going to be in a very, very good place for setting yourself up for future accomplishments and other things that the universe has open for you.
Like meeting amazing people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
My website is bodybyamandaNYC.com and Instagram is bodybyamanda.
Nice. Is there a story as to how you got staph on your ass versus like your arm or your
I'm pretty sure. Like I
thigh?
used to.
Like, did you
when
jump
I
on the
was-
bench press just butt ass naked and like
Pretty
"Okay,
much.
Here we go.
I mean,
I'm asking for this.
23 years old, I used to wear my shorts so short, and I used to like in the beginning, I used to wear like running clothes to like lift. So I used to wear these like short little like booty running shorts. So I'm sure it was just on a bench.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like it was not. It was like the insertion of my hamstring, my glute. If we want to get very specific.
I mean,
Not
that's
like in your ass.
if you could
right.
stand up and show the camera exactly where, that would
right
be great.
here.
Wasn't here, but it was like here. Okay,
Yeah,
so there wasn't
gym's
like a
pretty
weird.
dirty.
You were like rolling around with someone
Yeah,
on the
no,
gym
I wasn't naked.
floor,
I was kind of clothed, like fully clothed.
kind of fully.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Shorts.
Clothed
very
enough.
short.
Okay. All right, you guys ready for some rapid fire?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. You go one by one. Each person kind of list their person and give it. Don't be afraid to say why or go down a tangent. Like I don't give a shit about that. If you could have dinner with any person living or deceased, who would it be?
Oh
I feel like this is an answer we should have in our
So
brains
many
already.
I know, I know.
Okay, we'll go to an
just
easier
can't
one first.
Okay, we'll come
Okay.
back to it.
Favorite cheat meal now, and by cheat meal, favorite fun meal to have.
I just love pizza, like a good slice of hot. You guys don't like your
I would
pizza hot
say-
enough.
What?
When they
Yeah, when we
out,
go get
they
pizza,
just get
we
it.
get it cold.
They're like,
We
"Don't
get
heat
it.
it up."
We
I'm
get
like,
it
"No,
like
no, no."
room temp.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I
like,
just want to
2
eat it.
minutes in the oven. Hot. It has to be scorched.
Exactly
Right
2
then,
minutes.
hot.
Minimal.
Okay.
I would say, okay, I love all food. So this is really hard because it's like a toss up between like barbecue and tacos and lasagna.
Those are all so different.
For two of the three, you live in the wrong state. One of them, I mean, there's a fair big Italian community here,
Italian.
so
I
I'm
love
sure you
yeah.
get
pho
some.
too, like a
Ooh.
good bowl.
I get some good pho.
For me, so it's like I feel like you go through seasons of your life, so that this like answer would change. But right now, it's fried chicken.
Ooh.
I fucking love fried chicken.
Mm.
She does.
I really do. Yeah.
Can I ask, we're on this like real quick, how hard was it to, as you guys are going through your evolution of journey through your body and your image and yourself, to reinstall being okay with wanting fried chicken? Because even
Oh,
at the end of the
yeah.
day, like to want, like, and I tried to refrain, like I said, cheat meal. I'm like, let's reframe that. But like,
Mhm.
you go through this journey of like figuring yourself out and then allowing, like, it's one thing to get over it and like,
Yes.
okay, I'm eating healthy. I'm like living, like, I'm not going to
Mm.
freak out over calories, but emotional ties to those
Huge.
foods
Mhm.
have to be fucking hard to still.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They still must run through your head.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so it's funny. So during my powerlifting days is really when I started like kind of adding foods in and allowing myself and like
Mhm.
not demonizing them. So
I
there's a
s-
period of
yeah.
time where I have like a donut every day. Just
I
one.
did too.
Just like pre or post workout.
Huh.
Just to be like, I can have this. It's okay. I can have just one. I can enjoy this one donut and not need to have 10 more. And like there's still periods of like time now where I mean, it's funny. I've been through this whole process now where I feel so happy that I can eat moderately. I can
Mhm.
have the whatever the fuck and not feel badly about it. But now I'm in a place actually now, living with Devin, who's very healthy and like her food choices. I'm like, I need to eat more healthy, like vegetable whole foods. And I don't dislike those foods, but there's a period of time where that's all I would eat. But now
Mhm.
I have to find the balance of like, all right, let's eat some like micronutrients and also like some Swedish fish.
Right.
Also.
So a donut and broccoli.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Balance.
I would say like flexible dieting in a way helped me shift my mindset as to all food is fuel. And you just have to have a balance between it. And I like to eat nutrient dense foods because it makes me feel good, but I'm also gonna eat some pizza because I want it. And like
Mhm.
it's also not gonna be like detrimental to my goals.
But you do have to practice it.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
practice
you do.
having the Reese
Moderation.
cup
Yeah.
every day.
And
Yep.
like
Or whatever it
like
is.
Kat was saying, when I was learning how to become, more balanced with my nutrition, I ate a donut every single day, and sometimes I would eat 5 donuts. Like it would escalate into a binge, but just the practice of doing it and having one every day
Mhm.
helped me get into like a healthier
Versus,
relationship
like,
with it.
restricting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because you have to prove to yourself. You have to show yourself, like,
Yeah.
I can do
do
this.
this.
I can have one
Yeah.
donut and be okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to die. I'm not going to blow up. I'm not going
Yeah.
to be fat. Like,
And when I was doing that, I actually became my leanest, having a donut
Yeah.
every single day because I wasn't binging as much.
Mm.
Right.
right. Because then the binging stops because you're kind of like, oh, I can eat this thing and not go
Yeah.
crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Amanda, did you have?
I think not tracking, forcing myself to not track. I actually implement it now with some clients, like if they're doing really well. And, you know, I have a client, we reverse dieted her over the past year and a half. And she's so meticulous about tracking. So one of the things I'm saying now is I want you to stop tracking. I'm trying to get them to kind of be okay with not tracking and really going off of more their intuition
Yeah.
and trusting that it's going to be okay if you don't track for a week.
Yeah.
You know, so I think for me that was a big step.
Yeah.
And it helps you tune more into how you're feeling and what your body needs versus like, I need to hit these numbers.
Right. Do I actually want this donut?
Mm.
Versus like, I want it because I haven't been able to have it forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Emotional hunger versus physical hunger is
Yeah.
super real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, do you actually want it? Like, and I always, if someone's asking, I'm like, all right, do you want that specific food
Mm.
or do you just want food?
Yes.
Right? Like, if you're just craving a donut, that is much different than like I'm craving like carbs and like sustenance for like my workout. But if it's very
Mhm.
something specific, like I'm not really hungry. Like, I don't really like if I put like a egg salad in front of you, you're not gonna eat it,
Mhm.
right? Because you're like, I'm not hungry.
Right.
But like if it's just like a very specific item, because you have an emotional tie,
yeah.
right, to that item, like what's it called, a somatic marker. Prefrontal cortex has an emotional state attached to pizza, fried chicken,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
ice cream, whatever, where it's like that makes me feel good, that creates serotonin,
Dopamine.
and that creates dopamine, that's like I'm like, okay, that's good, right? And so you know, being able to get people to adjust on those things is very difficult. And so that, I think that question is why I wanted to ask that, because it's one thing to get through the journey,
Mhm.
it's another thing to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And back to your question, who would be, I mean, the first thing that came to I love music and
Uh-huh.
music besides running, music was always an outlet for me. And I loved Tupac because he was a poet. And I used to read his stuff like in the late 90s and early 2000s when I was in high school, stuck in my room, felt helpless. Like it was always the hip hop guys that I would resonate with because they came from nothing,
Yeah.
you know? And like Tupac put out like, well, not him, but he had a whole, you know, poet like side of him people don't really know. And they have a book that they published all his poetry on. And one of the things was, it's called A Rose That Grew from Concrete. And it's just like, you know, I don't know. He was always preaching and he was always inspirational. So I would say probably Tupac
Yeah.
for my dinner.
No, that's awesome. I can't believe he had so many albums already recorded.
Yeah.
Like when he died, he had like what 10 some stupid amount of albums already like recorded in the studio.
Insane. Yeah. And he was that actor. He was doing so much more.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm a Biggie fan because you got to represent East Coast. But Tupac was that poet, you know, and he
Yeah.
inspired me growing up.
Okay.
I would say for me, I have like two people that come to mind.
Yeah.
One would be I would really love to meet Brene Brown, mainly because she has changed my life like dramatically, and it would just be an honor to actually sit down with her and tell her that.
Mm-hmm.
The second person is mainly because I have the biggest girl crush on her, and that's Demi Lovato.
Yeah.
We both have a huge
and
crush on
I
her.
also, the reason I really do love Demi is because she's very open with her story and her struggle with binge eating and
Yeah.
having an eating disorder and body dysmorphia. And as, you know, this woman who has so much power, she does try to help women just
Yeah.
show up and realize that their bodies are okay and normal. And I really respect that about her.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to overthink this because I'll just go with what came to my head first. J.K. Rowling, the
Okay.
author of the Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's amazing. Harry Potter is such a big part of my childhood and growing
Yeah.
up.
Mm.
And
And
You
she's
know,
a fucking boss.
she's amazing. Also, like, she came from nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she was fucking living on food stamps. And when she was writing Harry Potter on the back of a napkin,
Wow.
like, she is a really inspiring story. And you know, I just to sit down and get to chat with her about that time in her life and how she stuck to this beautiful creative thing that was, you know, I think at the time probably just for her,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, it turned out to be this other amazing thing. Because I know she taught English and writing. I think she was like a teacher initially in a couple different countries and like more impoverished countries. I've done a couple book reports on her. Okay, guys.
Like, wow.
Yeah. And just the whole Harry Potter series is just it transformed reading for young adults. When it
Mhm.
came out, it really it took something that was going on a downward trend and turned it upward, and that's amazing.
Good.
So yeah, I would just love to chat with her and try and get some insight into what kept her going
Right.
and how to kind of apply that to where I am as a creative person and a performer.
Yeah.
Because I get down on myself, my own journey all the time, and I'm trying to get out of that. And just hearing stories like Amanda's, I'm just like, all right, Kat, just like turn into the kindergarten version of yourself that had so much belief in my mom tells me stories about when I was in kindergarten. I'm like, who is that girl? Like, where has she been? I need to find her and
Yeah.
bring her back out.
Yeah.
So
Do you guys spend much time with young kids?
I actually used to
I
nanny.
used to.
I used to nanny for like 9 years.
Okay.
And so I've nannied. And I also am the oldest of 5 siblings.
Oh shit! Look at you go.
I used to teach music to like toddlers and kids when I first moved to New York. It was one of my first jobs.
Fuck.
I have a client right now. He's 17. He's autistic, and
Aw.
I swear I learned so much from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids are the best.
You look at like when I first moved to Texas, I lived with my friends. I had triplets, and playing with kids. My mom was a youth minister, but like when you're a little kid, you grab this and like this is the magical orb of being, and this is going to transform you to anything I want you to be, and your imagination is so vivid.
Oh my
Mm.
God.
At what point do you understand what embarrassment is?
Yeah.
Right? Is it because now as an adult, like you've gone through, so
Yeah.
you naturally laugh, you're like, oh, it's
Mm.
funny. But then is that where the kid becomes self-conscious? Is
Yeah.
it because they failed and
I
someone
think
didn't help
it's
them
just
up? Like,
yeah.
where do we? Because that's where it all stems from.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like being embarrassed, like for little boys to dance in public, right,
Mhm.
is tough,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or for people to sing out
Yeah.
loud or express
I think
themselves.
it's like the minute someone shames you or tells you that you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest reason as to why they end up
Yeah.
feeling embarrassed or like, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
Right, or getting like critical feedback in a not so positive way.
Yeah.
Like I know I love my mom so much, but she sometimes has said things off the cuff that have just left lasting imprints on me, and I'm sure that happened at a young age, like not even like maliciously, but I think that just starts to teach you to like, okay, I have to be more aware of myself because somebody is perceiving me in a certain way,
Right.
and it might be negative or it might be bad or it might not be good enough.
Yeah.
And that sucks. 'Cause I remember being self-conscious at a very young age and like that sucks.
Mhm.
That really sucks.
Words win, right? How you and your intentions can be great, but the way it's expressed may not always.
Words hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, words matter.
What's your favorite lift?
I love the sumo deadlift.
Ooh.
I would say for the longest time it was deadlifting, but now I just hate setting up the barbell.
It's just so heavy. It's just so,
So
much
much
work.
work.
I just
and so that was always really empowering for me, but now I love benching, and it's one of the main 3 lifts that I just like enjoy and practice.
Okay.
Mine used to be deadlifting, and now I would say probably pull-ups because I can
Nice.
do them now, and
Amazing.
I get
And
to be able
pull-ups
to.
are, yeah.
Yeah, and they
Okay.
make me feel like really powerful and
Mm.
cool. Yeah,
That's
Because
awesome.
when every time you're in a gym and you're busting out pull-ups, someone comes up to you and they're like, "Holy shit,
Yeah.
Mhm.
good, damn girl."
Well,
Yeah.
because like, what was it? Time or New York Times or someone put out an article back in
Burpees.
like 2010 that was like women can't do pull-ups.
Oh yeah.
And I remember my coworker Natalie was like, "Fuck that," and she could do a pull-up, and then she's like, "I'm training to do like whatever 10 in a row or something,"
Yeah.
bullshit, and I can tag them in something.
Mm.
And I was like, "That's awesome, right?" And like my goal for when I trained the women I trained was to do a squat with their weight on their back and to do a
Mhm.
pull-up
Mhm.
because those are two empowering
Oh,
fucking
Yes.
yeah, it
things
is.
to squat your own body weight for the first time and like not
Mhm.
be like, "Oh my gosh, that was cool," and to do a
Mhm.
pull-up, you're like, "Motherfucker,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was awesome."
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's coming next for you? What's the next thing? What's your goal next, or what are you trying to do next? Next project?
Want to start public speaking.
You just had
Um,
one.
I did for Bumble Business, and it went well. It
Good.
was really exciting, and it was also like this like low end thing that I got to do to just get practice. I'm like, yeah, why not? So I just
It wasn't low end. All of them are good things.
yeah, but ultimately something that has struck my mind a few times is going to high schools and speaking on body confidence and like creating a healthier relationship with
Awesome.
fitness, because that's when I struggled, and I know that's when most girls struggles and when they become more aware of their bodies and stuff. So I want to eventually do that.
So cool.
That's so great too, because high school is such a good time to start developing the habits of just
Totally.
being active.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I came into fitness because I liked being active, but also because I was trying to change my body. And I feel like if I just had the habit of I'm exercising because it feels good and I like it,
Mm-hmm.
because I look up someone like my mom who never had that growing up. She was never athletic. She was thin. She didn't have to work out
Right.
for her body until after she had twins. And then she was kind of lost.
Yeah.
So
I think connecting with other fitness people, just, working with them in some way, whether it be like a podcast or, lives or working out together, just meeting
Amanda and I
other
do lives all the
fitness
time.
people, and, I talk a lot about empowerment and having people really see that like all they really need is in themselves. And I know a part of me knows that meditation and just finding like that restful time to yourself is so important. So I've actually started to implement like as part of my online clients like homeworks. Okay, let's try to do like a pause a week, and a pause is like the prereq of a full 20-minute meditation. I learned back in 2012 and it changed my life. So
did you go to Ziva?
I did a weekend with this course meditation teacher named Light Watkins.
Okay.
He's bi-coastal. He does
Yeah.
LA and
Heard of him.
New York. Yeah, he's amazing. But it's like Vedic meditation.
Yeah, that's good. I've studied Vedic too.
amazing.
Yeah.
A game changer.
Cool.
So I think just implementing all that also into the package of what my clients are going to get when working with me online.
Awesome. And favorite book that you want to share? You shared yours. What was it again?
The Gifts of Imperfection. Yeah, that is definitely my favorite book and very life-changing. But another one that was impactful for me is The Four Agreements by Don
Oh.
Miguel Ruiz.
Be true to your word. What are the other three?
Be true to your word. Don't take things personally.
Do your best.
Do your best. And then, fuck. I can't think of it. I can't think of it.
It's okay.
It'll come to mind.
We'll put it in there. We'll put it in the show notes. You got a favorite book that you want to?
Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Any particular reason why?
Yeah. So one of the reasons I love Harry Potter books, obviously, I love magic, and I love the idea of like being a witch or a wizard and going to school and studying it because it just seemed so much fun, and it was a true escape for me as a kid. I love the Goblet of Fire because it's the last book that really, before things get really dark in the series, in terms of the storyline, and it's one of the longest ones, and it feels like you get to spend the most time in Hogwarts there when things are just like mostly normal, like school life. So that's why I love that one the most. And the Triwizard Tournament is like super awesome and fun. So I'm a nerd.
No, it's
No, I
good.
love it.
I want to read it. I haven't read Harry Potter.
Neither of them have read Harry Potter.
Oh, really?
She
I
just
stopped at
started.
that
I just
one.
started.
I've done like a lot of self-help books by Tim Ferriss, Gary Vee. But the one that really kind of sticks out in my mind is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Oh.
It's pretty inspirational, and it's a nice little story that kind of like got the wheels turning at an early age for me in high school. So that one kind of has a little special place in my heart.
That one's on the list for me. I haven't.
That's a good one.
I haven't jumped onto it yet, but that's definitely on the list. All right. Any last remarks that you guys have? You want to share anything else?
We appreciate you taking the time.
Aw,
Yeah, thank you, Sam.
thanks.
It's really
I'm
fun.
happy to have you. We're at 2 hours.
I know.
I was like, it was a
Edit
good.
this
Ooh.
shit down.
Oh,
The
shit.
camera turned off. It's all
Oh,
right. It's
no.
probably it just happened. So,
Okay.
all right. Thank you guys very much for joining the show.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
I'll
Thanks
see you
for
guys
having
soon.
us.
Bye.
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 Thanks again for listening to the Fitness Break Room podcast, everybody. You can follow us on Instagram at Fitness Break Room. And if you're looking to enter our monthly fitness swag giveaway, you can visit our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, and all that info's on the homepage. Hundreds of dollars worth of awesome stuff, so I wouldn't miss that. And then you can even subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and leave us a review if you're digging what we're bringing you. That would be awesome and very helpful. Okay, guys, have a beautiful week. Stay strong, and always look out for the little guy.
I know to you, it might sound